Hi, guys, and welcome to this week's issue of Happy Hour with Wedding Pros. This time we're talking about personal wedding experiences. We're talking about what from our own experiences, not as a professional, but just from either our own weddings or ones we attended. What one thing we'd change, and then another thing we would not change that we was the thing that made the wedding. So let's have everybody introduce themselves and then let's get started. Brian, why don't you start?
Hello, I'm Brian Carrizales, the Director of Events at ABC Geek Shop and Bakery.
Great. Megan?
Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Brogan with Shutter Force Photography.
And Brandy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Brandy from Nature Point.
Great. Scott?
Scott with the Wedding Expo. Hi.
Hi. And Marty?
Hi there, I'm Marty Houghton, and I am the planner organizer for El Zocalo Plaza Event Center.
Perfect. And Courtney?
Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Faye Garnham. I'm the owner/planner for Courtney Faye's Wedding and Event Planning.
Great. Hey, since you're on here, and I'm Stacy from the Wedding Expo too. So Courtney, why don't you go ahead and start, and why don't you tell us one thing you loved about your wedding and one thing you would change?
Okay, so the best part about my wedding is its location. I did it in a really sentimental spot that was outside. It was just really beautiful. And one thing I might change is not necessarily about my wedding, but was about my brother's wedding. Because I was a bridesmaid, but since I was family, I helped a lot. So I didn't get to be a part of like all the little activities. So sad day.
Yeah. So what would you recommend then? Your spot was really personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
You grew up there, and it was had a lot of connections. So is that what you recommend to your brides?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend something that makes you happy. Because like personally, I'm super introverted, so having a camera in my face is kind of awkward all day. So if you're just naturally happy, it just makes the whole experience easier, and you can come away with really beautiful photos.
Great. And so how would you solve that about the bridesmaid issue? What would you do?
Probably hire a wedding planner or maybe more event staff. That way your family can be a part of the day, and then the other people can work the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, so many people want to cut costs or people say, oh, I could do that for you, but then they're out of it, or then they do a poor job of it and you can't be mad at them because they're family. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Okay, Marty, how about you?
I guess I can start with kind of, I've had 3 of my own weddings, interestingly enough. I got married in a courthouse and then remarried in a church. And then last year for my 30th wedding anniversary, my husband surprised me in Las Vegas by having Elvis marry us in front of the Las Vegas sign, which that was definitely the most exciting. And the best aspect of that actually was it was a surprise. I had no idea when we left dinner where we were headed. So that was a lot of fun. In terms of challenges that I've seen in events that I've been to personally, I would say not making enough of a backup plan for weather. I've been to a wedding that was so ridiculously hot and humid that, everyone was just miserable. And it was in a beautiful, beautiful setting, overlooking a lake, trees everywhere. It's just, the time of year it was hot.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. And now these weddings are happening now. There are going to be a lot of them who are going to get 2 weddings, for one groom. They're going to have their small intimate one and then their bigger one later. So they're going to have the same experience with you, and maybe they'll be able to have a 30-year Elvis wedding.
Hopefully.
Great. So the surprise, was that the best thing about the wedding?
Elvis was very entertaining, but not knowing that was about to happen, otherwise I would have been thinking this is going to be so corny. But as it was just sort of sprung on me, and it made it a lot of fun.
That's great. So basically the takeaway is to keep fun in the wedding?
Yeah, I think so.
keep fun in the wedding, and make sure you have your plan A, B, C, D, E.
Yes.
Well, that's great. Okay. Okay, Scott, what are you going to say about our wedding? Put you on the spot here.
We had one, I guess the challenge was maybe more people showed up than RSVP'd, or maybe we had a little bit too small of a place for the ceremony. But I remember standing up front and Stacy coming from the back, and she literally had to maneuver through chairs with her dress and make her way up to the front. And it took probably twice as long. I'm sure it felt like 10 minutes for her to make her way up. I'm sure it was maybe one instead of 20 seconds based on the rehearsal. But I remember that as being a challenge. One thing I really like about the whole day was that we got together for group photos with our wedding party. And I think it was Stacy's idea to do something kind of corny and different. So she, in advance, bought a lot of really dark CIA style sunglasses, and everybody put them on, and we looked very serious, but it was just corny and funny. And I really liked that photo. Probably one of my favorites from that day.
Yeah, and just to tell you a little bit more, I think you really need to let your ushers know when they're seating people, especially when they're not seats that are bolted to the ground. You need to have them really think through that aisleway, because what had happened was they put way too many people, and so people were squishing into the aisle, so you had to do this like loop-de-loop down the aisle kind of thing. And so really having someone go through with your groomsmen where to seat people, how to seat them, will save you from that little thing. And again, having the fun with everybody, and having fun with what happened at the wedding too. So, okay. And you know what, since I'm talking, I might as well finish mine. One of the other things that was not a good thing about ours, was we had so many people there. It's back when you just invited everybody you worked with, and you had to invite so many people. And that is it's great to have a big wedding, that's fine. But it was such a logistical thing of, Scott got to have fun with our friends after the reception, whereas I had to go be hostess and go walk around to everybody and make everybody feel like they were good. Now I'd make him come too. But really rethink that. Really rethink who you want there and how many people you want there. And I won't take any more time talking. I'll go on to Brandy. Brandy, what do you think?
Okay, so for, I would say probably for the negative aspect, then I would say there was a story where it was actually my sister-in-law, and at her wedding, the DJ that they hired didn't know her name. And so when they did the grand entrance, they not only said her name wrong once, but then even after, like later on in the evening, for the spotlight dances, they said her name wrong again. So maybe just making sure that you meet with your vendors and make sure that they're, sure of who you are, and refresh them on your names, and that your vendors have that first little touch. And then something positive was being at a different type of wedding that already had everything planned for them. So they had all the wedding staff. There was no cleanup. I've been at the weddings where you have to do all the cleanup at the end, and that's just kind of miserable. So to make it as stress-free as possible and have everything thought out and cleaned up, and staff just makes it kind of run a lot more smoothly. But yeah.
That's great. That would be so embarrassing if they didn't. Oh
yeah.
Oh, I just died. Ah. Okay, Brian, how about you?
Yes, one of the most memorable aspects is that I got married at Las Vegas, the High Roller, which is the big Ferris wheel. And we actually got like the perfect time, like right before sunset. So we saw like both aspects of the strip, and all our pictures had that beautiful view. And that was like the most memorable aspects of it. And then like we had like a little mini bar in there too. So we were literally just drinking cocktails, watching the sunset after the wedding. And the one thing I do regret, and I would definitely change if I could, is paying for a professional photographer. They had package deals, and we had a good package, I assumed at the time, and we were like, we'll just do selfies and make it more casual. And it worked for the moment. And now looking years back, I would definitely pay more for better pictures and a videographer and record the whole moment, because yes, it was beautiful and I remember it and my family remember it, but the people that couldn't attend, I can't really show them the same quality in a selfie kind of camera phone style. So it's one thing I'll definitely pay more for.
Yeah, and I think that's when they do polls from couples, that's the number one regret, is not having a good photographer, because the moment's gone, it's over,
Yeah.
it's done, and there are no do-overs. And so you
Yeah,
can't do that. I mean, you can now go take a portrait of the two of you, but it's just not the same because it's not from your wedding.
definitely.
So, but I like that, the place again, like with Courtney, what she was saying about choosing a special place to you.
Yeah,
So,
it's always something that fits like the couple the best. So like it just fit me and my husband. We are not, we're very thorough and we plan, and we just wanted something that made it a little bit more relaxed where we didn't have to do it. So like when Brandy brought up like package like where they have staff and they have all these things, that's what we wanted to do. We just didn't want to fuss about anything.
yeah, well, that sounds good. Okay, Megan, you're up.
Hey guys. Okay, so James and I, my husband, who also photographs with me, we make up Shutter Forest Photography as a team. So I can definitely say we loved our wedding photography, which I'm very glad about. We got married in 2012, and we did a big destination wedding. So we got married in the Caribbean. We actually went down to the island of St. Lucia in the Caribbean. And it's one great way to take a huge guest list and really narrow it down because we still managed to have 75 people there, which is really huge for a destination wedding. But we planned for 2 years in advance so that people could plan their vacations and such, and it ended up being so much fun. And I think my most memorable experience from all of it, my biggest takeaway was actually the ceremony itself, which is interesting because for a lot of weddings, it's not necessarily the most impactful, but I grew up in theater. I absolutely love music, and I really wanted to do something fun and unique for our wedding, but our bridal party was from all over the place. We lived in Hawaii at the time. My family's all from New England. James's family's from Wyoming. A lot of our friends are kind of scattered throughout the world, really. So there was no way that we could do a coordinated kind of bridal party entrance, which was ultimately what my hope was when I first started thinking about it, because I was obsessed with that idea. I thought it would be so fun for everyone. But we actually came up with something even better. We actually asked each member of our bridal party to pick a theme song, or like an entrance walk-on song like you see at baseball games. Basically, we just wanted them, when they walked down the aisle, we were going to play their song. And just, like a 30-second clip or however long it took them to come down the aisle. And what I was unprepared for was how seriously our bridal party was going to take it. And it was like a full-on dance party. And we did something, again, more untraditional. We had each bridal party member walk in solo because we had their individual songs, so they didn't walk in 2 by 2. And we also had a mixed bridal party. So I had a bridesman, and James had a groom's lady, I guess. We were just basically all together. So we just kind of alternated down the aisle, and everybody kind of partied to their own jam, and like full on dancing, like everyone sitting in their chairs was standing up, like jamming along to the music, and it was really fun and really special. And I love every single person that decided to run with that, because some of even James's guys who I thought were going to be like, really, Megan, you're going to have us do this? They danced even bigger than the bridesmaids. So it ended up being really awesome.
Yeah, that's great. But I'm having trouble understanding this and wrapping my head around it.
Sure.
Does that you played the whole song?
Nope.
So 3 minutes of somebody walking down?
No,
No.
it was like a 20 to 30-second clip. So we basically started the song at the time of the song they asked, because some songs have really long intros and stuff. But you know, if you just wanted to play like, you know, the main chorus, they would walk into that. And then my brother-in-law actually was on the like the little DJ station in the corner, and basically played each person's entrance song. Once they were up top, we switched songs. So it wasn't this big whole long thing, but we also had a really long aisle. So it was really fun. We got married in the ruins of an old pirate fort. It was a really, really cool place. And it was just a really, really long walk through, you know, this really caved in old kind of barracks of this fort. And it ended up turning into this really crazy, fun dance party. The video is pretty fun. But to jump into my the thing I would change is actually something that we see a lot in weddings as photographers is the little moments that couples take time to kind of slow their wedding day down, because everything feels so fast on a wedding day. And I think one of the neatest things that we've seen pretty consistently now is the opportunity when the bride and groom, or groom, bride, they send a message to their significant other. They write them a letter or a card or something, and maybe with a gift, not always with a gift, but more so just like some words that are just meant for them. It's one of my favorite parts of a wedding day is when I get to see, you know, I usually see one side of the couple and James sees the other side of the couple, taking that time to read that exchange that's just very intimate and very personal. And I always feel like it's a time, you know, it takes this craziness of the getting ready and it just kind of narrows the focus and slows everything down and makes it extra special. And that's something that I've learned since we got married. That is something that I would have loved to have done with James. So maybe for our, you know, when we renew our vows, you know, we'll do something like that. But it's something that we love when couples do that on their wedding days. And it seems to be something that's very meaningful. And that's one thing I would have done different.
That sounds so cool. That whole idea of doing that. And I've never heard of that. So that's something that makes it more special and intimate.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So anybody have any other suggestions or things you'd like to share that will personalize it and that you've seen or have done personally? Anybody else? Any final words? Megan, why don't you jump in there with the final word?
Okay, sure. Some final words.
Sydney's
She's napping in the other room. She found a sunspot. But maybe it's because it's a different day of the week. I don't know. Throw her off. But I think, I guess my biggest advice is, you know, kind of echoing on what everybody else was saying about finding a place that's really meaningful to you. Whether it's something that has, something that excites you and makes you happy. Courtney said it the best. I mean, it's a place that is, you're going to tell that story of where you got married over and over again forever. You know, for us, we'd never even been to St. Lucia. So we kind of did the opposite of being planners. We found a wonderful wedding planner who we worked with, and then we picked an island that wedding planner lived on. She 100% sold us on it, and went on this wild, awesome adventure, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. Except for that letter. But you know, if it's something that is meaningful to you, as a couple, if it's someplace where you met or someplace that, you know, went on a date or explored or have always wanted to visit, or if it's a place that is going to be absolutely spectacular, like being on the high roller in Las Vegas. I mean, how do you top that? You're literally on top of the world. That's so cool. You know, find a place that is meaningful to you, and it just lets your love shine even brighter.
So now all we have to do, though, is see if Elvis will go to St. Lucia for your 30th wedding anniversary. There we go.
Or Elvis on the high roller. I mean, that would have been cool too.
That works too.
Maybe Elvis in the pirate fort on St. Lucia.
Hey, I like it.
And I would have had to make people wear costumes.
Yes.
We're just gonna bring it way up.
That's it. Yeah. Okay, Brian, any last words final words.
I would go with kind of what we've been echoing this whole all the videos, this whole collection, is trying to make it as easy for you, make it personal to fit your budget, whatever it is. For me, I wanted it to be as casual for me and my guests, so we literally had a 7-day vacation in Las Vegas, and we just literally surprised them, and that's what worked for us. So whatever that connection that you want to go ahead and kind of push to your guests and leave that impression, definitely do it. That's the easiest thing to do.
That's great. Okay, Marty, any final words you'd like to say? Or final thoughts?
Just for all of us venue folk, well, everybody, in terms of how we're dealing with the unfortunateness going on, always looking for a way to put a spin on it and find out, how you can keep doing what you can for your brides. Maybe some of these fun ideas could apply to a very different wedding than they anticipated.
Yeah, you got to be flexible and open to different possibilities. Sounds good. Brandy, what about you?
So I mean, I guess I would probably just say to kind of know what you're wanting for your wedding, and to think about everything as a whole picture. I've seen it where a lot of the families come in with them and they're trying to plan, and the families are having more of a voice than them. So really making sure that you're putting your foot down and getting what you want, because at the end of the day, it's your wedding. Even if they're, if they've agreed to help you pay for it, doesn't mean that they're supposed to pick everything, as far as colors or the way that the flow runs or the music that you pick. I've really seen some very pushy moms that, I mean, it's almost like they're planning their second wedding. And so I would just say, just kind of stick with your guns and, make sure that you have a really good support group, because you're going to need it, especially if you're going against your mom, and just make sure that you have what you want.
That's great. And Courtney, what about you? You're a wedding planner, so you see a lot firsthand.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing right now for me is just to have fun on whatever your wedding day was supposed to be. So I've had a lot of brides unfortunately have to postpone, but I brought them all flowers and champagne because I was like, go for it. There's no reason that love can't be celebrated anytime. We might have to do the big celebrations later, but definitely let love shine through right now too.
Yep, and again, you get to have 2 celebrations, not just one. So you're going to rival Marty. Great. Well, thank you guys. And Scott, did you want to add anything else?
Brandy kind of took the words out of my mouth. Just make sure that that's okay. Make sure you do what you want to do, and you might have to negotiate a little bit with your spouse. We did, but do what you want to do. Otherwise, you're going to regret it later. You're going to say, yeah, we should have done it our way. So make sure everyone knows that you're the couple, and although you appreciate the advice from everybody else, whether it's friends or family, it's your wedding and you want to do it your way. And if they're upset, hopefully they'll get over it. And if not, then maybe they weren't really good friends to begin with. So.
Sounds good. Okay, well, thanks everybody, and we'll see you and have a drink together next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.